Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Harriet Creates. In this episode, I'm making tiny chairs to go with my tiny table. I started this process with a similar process, using the leftover lollipop sticks and making a base out of those. This is all done around the same time as the table, which is why you can see all of the chaos. Using masking tape in order to put the panels in a neat form, and then using glue in between to kind of make them more of a board. It worked for the table, so I was trying it again for the chairs. Now with chairs there are an awful lot of spindly bits, and we had an awful lot of the skewers left over from fondue or kebabs. They have not been used on food, they're just basically brand new. We're just not going to get through them. So I decided to use the end that finishes at a point for the legs, and the rest of them for the spindles on the chairs. This also involved a lot of measuring to figure out how big the chairs should be in relation to everything else. I think I'm going to maybe make them a bit higher with some UV resin. It also stops them from squeaking on the floors, I hope. But that's another day's problem. I measured out all of the spindles and then sawed them all together, or I measured out all of the spindles and then taped them all together using a saw to cut through them rather than cutting them all individually. This helped save time. The fun part was trying to find the right glue, so I started with wood glue, and that worked okay, but for the legs and the spindles I needed something that would activate quicker, so I went and got some super glue. Now, I got this stuck to me, I got myself stuck to my clothes. Next time I'm going to wear gloves. But make sure to do your research if you are wearing gloves, as I know some adhesives eat through different latexes. After all of the spindles and legs were dry, I then had to think about how I was going to make the top back of the chair. So some have like a decorative thing, and I started to draw it, but it wasn't quite working out the way I wanted it to. So instead I just went for a normal panel. I'm using cardboard for this, as the holes in the back of the cardboard slot into the spindles really well. I'm also able to put all of the glue and really pack it in there so it becomes a solid item that's not flimsy like cardboard normally is. Now, in a bit I didn't film, after the glue had dried, went back in and packed it all with wood filler. This was so that it actually was a physical unit and I could sand it without the cardboard like coming apart. And I also knew that I would be upholstering them, so I got some old foam, some packing foam, and I cut it into a rough shape for the chairs. We have gone through a bit of a tea towel clear out, and so I managed to save some that are maybe a bit more ropey. I think this one's got a hole in. And I've used them to upholster the chairs. I created a tablecloth for the table so the chairs would match the table as well. Using super glue to stick the tea towel fabric to the foam. This is a photo of them so far. So after everything was dry, I then had to go through and sand it. This is to try and get off as much of the varnish that is put on cocktail sticks and skewers. It's so that they are food safe, but for the purposes of this, it means that the varnishes we put on don't really have the same look, and it takes them a little bit longer and they don't finish quite as nicely. Or at least that's what I found. So I took a little minute, giving it a bit of a sand. It was hard getting in between all the spindles. They are quite close together, but I think I did quite well. Also taking time to sand the top bit quite gently because it is made out of cardboard, but trying to get in there to make sure that there was a rough surface to get some of the glue off and the wood filler off, and to make sure that it was all ready to be varnished. For this, I'm also using dark oak wood stain. This is so that the chairs and the table match. I have done quite a dark colour because the rest of the room is going to be quite light. The tiles contain a lot of white, I have a feeling the cabinets are also going to be white. And so I wanted there to be a little bit of a dark element, especially with the window frames and everything being dark green. Making sure that when I did stain it, I was staining the entire chair, so it didn't matter if there was a cushion on it or not. This is so that I didn't have to work out how much of the top of the chair was going to be visible. I could just stick it on and go, basically. But taking my time to really coat the chairs, I did 2 coats of the stain and 2 coats of the varnish after. For the varnish in particular, I only did the outer edge of the top of the chairs because I didn't know how well the varnish and glue were going to react. For this again, I tried various glues. So on the first cushion, I used super glue around the edge and wood glue in the middle. And then for the rest of them, I think I just used super glue. The super glue held a bit better because it activates really, really quickly. However, because I'd used it for the rest of the project, I was running low and do believe I finished the bottle on these chairs. This process took a couple of days, mainly because you have to wait for the glues to set, the varnishes to dry, and the stains to really soak in. But I really enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun, and they are really cute. And here is a photo of them done. There is a ruler in this photo for scale, so that you know kind of how small they are. I think this is a 30cm ruler, so tiny chairs. Tiny chairs to go with our tiny table. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at the next one. Bye bye.